Hi everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. For those watching for the first time, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. You've probably noticed that I am not in my usual spot. Today I am going to be doing a Christmas Carol book tag. So I thought it would be a little bit more festive if I came out and did the video in front of our Christmas tree. Thank you to Lady Jane Books for tagging me. I will leave a link to her channel below, and to Lauren Wade's channel as well, as Lauren was the first and original tag. I wanted to get to this video before Christmas, since this is a fun tag to celebrate the holidays. There are 8 prompts altogether, so let's get started. The first prompt is The Ghost of Christmas Past, a book that was a childhood favorite. One of my favorites was Tom's Midnight Garden by Philippa Pierce. I don't think that this book gets enough love and attention. I think that it might even be out of print now, but I fell in love with this story and with this book when I was a kid. So when Tom listens to the grandfather clock at night, he hears it strike midnight and then strike 13. And at first he thinks maybe he counted wrong, but he gets up and he investigates and he finds a magical garden. He visits this garden several times, and in the garden he meets Hattie. Everything about this book is magical, and it has a beautiful ending with a couple of surprises along the way. I think I may actually reread this book in the coming year, and if you can get your hands on it, I would highly recommend it. Next is The Ghost of Christmas Present. This is a recent book that you think will become one of your all-time favorites. So one of my most recent favorite books from this year is The Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd. I have already talked about this book in several of the videos that I've done this year. Kidd is one of my favorite authors, and this book is not only one of my favorites of the year, but it is definitely in my favorites of all time list. Kidd reimagines what it would be like if Jesus had married. And Anna is Jesus's wife, and the book is really about her, with Jesus as a secondary character. And I just think it is so well done, it's so well written, and it's done in such a respectful way. The third prompt is The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. And this is a book coming out next year that you're most excited about. And there are several books coming out in the new year that I'm really looking forward to reading. But one that is coming out in January, I believe it's January 26th, is Gutter Child by J.L. Richardson. This is a debut novel for Richardson. She is a Canadian author who is also the executive director of the Festival of Literary Diversity that takes place in Brampton every year. She has written a children's story based on her relationship with her father. This new novel takes place in an imaginary world. Elamina is the main character. In this world, the vulnerable people are in the gutter, and they're forced to buy their freedom by working off their debt. And there is also the mainland, where the privileged people are. And as part of a social experiment, Elamina is one of 100 babies taken from the gutter to be raised in the land of opportunity. It sounds to me like it has some parallels to An Ocean of Minutes, and that it will have a timely message. Up next is Bah Humbug, a book that everyone else loves that you can't stand. So I don't think that I would say that I can't stand this book, or these books, I guess, in this case. But I chose this because it's a book that has had so much hype, and I have no inclination or desire to read it at all. And that is Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. I know that this is a really unpopular opinion. It's just not my thing. I have seen the movie, and that definitely didn't encourage me to want to read it any more than without seeing the movie, so there it is. Number 5 is Bob Cratchit. It's an old dependable that you always recommend. For this one I chose The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. It's one of my all-time favorite books, and I've recommended it a lot because I love that it's written from Enzo's point of view. Enzo is the dog. And I just think that it's so well written and clever, and it's a heartwarming story with all the feels. Next up is Tiny Tim, an underhyped book that you think deserves more love. This year, one of my biggest surprises was Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore by Matthew J. Sullivan. I have barely seen this one around, and I think it deserves to be promoted so much more. I absolutely loved how this book was written. I was riveted to the story from the beginning right until the very end. This is a debut novel, and it's another book that I thought was very clever. Lydia is the main character who works in a bookstore, and one of the customers dies by suicide in the bookstore. And Lydia follows clues that this customer has left behind and takes the reader along for that ride. And I think it's a fantastic thriller. It's one to definitely check out. The 7th prompt is today, why it's Christmas Day. What's a book that always gets you in the mood for Christmas? Apart from A Christmas Carol, since that's this tag. So my confession is that I have never read A Christmas Carol. So I am going to put that on my list to probably read by next Christmas. I thought I would do it this Christmas, but it turns out I don't actually have it. So for this prompt, I chose The Night Before Christmas. And I think this one appeals to me the most because I've had a very positive relationship with this story since I was in grade 3. My class did this as a play at our school Christmas concert, and I was one of the 4 people in the chorus, which meant that we had to recite the entire "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem by heart, and I knew this inside and out, and the 4 of us recited it with such gusto as we were dressed up in our winter coats and toques and scarves and mitts. And it's probably still to this day my favorite performance that I've ever been part of. And it was just so fun. So this one, I have a good feeling about this one every time I read it. The last one is The Muppet Christmas Carol. This is your favorite film adaptation of a book. So for this one, I don't think this is my most favorite of all time or my most favorite ever, but I think it's the most recent movie that I enjoyed the movie just as much, if not more, than the book. And that is Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. I enjoyed this book, but I felt like the movie adaptation was exceptional. The characters all played their parts, to perfection, and it didn't hurt that the scenery was so beautiful. It was incredible, even if it wasn't filmed right in Antarctica. The story and characters are quirky, and the way the house is a character really comes out well in the movie too. So I recommend both the book and the movie if you get a chance to check these out. The last thing is to tag some people. Since it's so close to Christmas, I'm not going to tag anyone specifically, but if you are watching and you want to do a video too, please consider yourself tagged. I'd love to see what you come up with. I will leave a list of the prompts in the description box along with all of the books that I mentioned in the video. Thanks again to Lady Jane Books for tagging me on this one. Thanks for watching, everybody, and wishing all of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And don't forget to make every day an adventure.